Hello, and welcome to the Smart Inclusion Podcast, where we connect the dots between investing in people, investing capital, and preserving the planet. Each episode brings you powerful stories from thought leaders like women, indigenous people, and unsung heroes who are driving the global energy transition forward. This podcast ties together the complex threads of sustainability, showing how the public can engage with new opportunities in energy transition and invest in their communities. Whether you're interested in the future of energy, climate change, sustainable investing, or understanding why these changes matter to you, Smart Inclusion delivers insightful conversations that break down what's happening, what's on the horizon, and how you can be part of this transformational movement. I'm your host, Todd Q. Adams. Hey, everybody. I'm Todd Q. Adams. And you know, I've had a really good season with this Smart Inclusion, this podcast series. Really engaged a lot of people, learned a lot, and I've gotten a lot of good, positive feedback from people. You know, one of the things a question that has come up or inspiration is that people are now seeing that you can actually make money and make a difference. I mean, that is something that, particularly as it relates to this energy transition in this climate tech space, that community buy-in, community benefits are actually an integral part of the business model. And that is what has really taken shape this season. And people are actually seeing viable technical solutions, and economic feasibility with these solutions, traction, customers, and making a difference. However, these folks are conscious, they are socially conscious as to what they do. Y'all remember Kabi Osei Kusi. He and I talked about, if you remember, we talked about the benefits of actually having small and medium-sized businesses own and operate EV charging stations. The importance of having participation, the heartbeat, the lifeblood of America is small and medium-sized businesses, giving them an opportunity to create a new revenue stream by enabling EV charging, not just at big box retailers, but with small players. This is also significant in adding value to, you're looking at adding the accessibility. And if I drive an EV, and one of the challenges is charging locations and finding places to charge, public charging especially. Charging is still something of a challenge. Kabi is somebody who's actually looking at this democratizing access to this. So he's making money, he has customers, and making an impact. You remember Jason Rodriguez. Jason Rodriguez, CEO of Frolic. Frolic is using immersive technology, not for technology's sake, but they're actually addressing the skills gap within this energy transition. The good news in this space is we've got a lot of jobs that have been created and will be created in this space. In Texas alone, Texas is actually leading. I'm in Houston right now, and Texas is leading with clean energy job creation in this space, with 100,000 jobs that have actually been created just in Texas alone. Well, these folks need training. The challenge is that we've got a pipeline issue. We've got a major pipeline issue. This is not, it's not cool. I mean, it's not cool to young people. This is a space, if you think about a lot of these spaces, they just don't resonate. It just doesn't resonate in a way that many other solutions do. However, he's come up with a novel way to engage younger people. Artificial intelligence, virtual reality, augmented reality, solutions that actually enhance the training experience, all while also working in schools and driving familiarity, connecting with students. And the other thing is that our pipeline has to be diverse. The reason it has to be diverse is pure numbers, it's pure math. We need to draw from as many population segments as possible. And these folks are doing it and driving and actually driving adoption, driving training, and acquiring customers in doing so. So those are examples of when you're talking about doing good, that also makes sense for an investor. Investors, because this is a capital intensive space, a lot of areas. And oftentimes a lot of capital is needed for research and development, use cases, demonstrations, and you need to have some sort of buy-in from folks and investors whose thesis says, I believe that your social model is actually the model that will actually drive customer adoption, drive more cases, increase the size of the addressable market. And that is what these folks are doing, and addressing the social problem of quality jobs, workforce, unemployment in many areas, and depending upon where it may be. Another example, you probably remember Brett Isaac. Brett Isaac, the Navajo Nation, and the Navajo Nation in Arizona started up a utility from the ground up back in 2021, a public utility as a startup to electrify lands for people who had never had electricity. Imagine seeing power lines adjacent to transmission lines adjacent to your lands, but you don't have electricity because you aren't connected. You don't have any real economy. There's high unemployment. Well, they started a utility, obtained funding from venture capital across the capital stack, loans, even government grants. Why? Because the business model is actually viable. 94% retention rate of customer retention rate. Also, they have a model, and that's because customers are actually the shareholders. And so people are well vested in this. They're creating jobs. They're impacting the economy. And on those lands, there is the ability to scale exponentially and to electrify more homes, which means that there's more customers and produce at a capacity that enables that power, solar power, generated power to actually serve as a commodity on the market and another revenue stream. The point, they're doing good, they're making money and making an impact. And all of these are examples of why, we have to have in this energy transition things that are not, that we may not have seen before. There's a lot of innovation. There's a lot of uncertainty, but we need disruption. We need a lot of change. And the status quo just fundamentally does not work anymore. So, as I think through that, one of the things is that I want to thank just, folks like Nisha Desai of Intention, who has this season, you saw her democratizing access to climate tech investments for non-accredited investors. I mentioned Jason, I mentioned Kabi as well. And each of them in their own way is actually addressing this in a very inclusive way, in a way that makes sense, where we all yield and benefit from the returns. So as we look forward to this, you'll see that these founders are demonstrating that, yes, if you investing in all of us, investing capital and protecting the environment, yes, that is the essence of equity economics. And upcoming in our next next episode is Charlotta Lewis. She actually is a VC, venture capitalist, and a social impact investor. So, she's the type of person, she is a person that invests in the companies who, and my guests, those kinds of companies. And so we'll look at that and we'll listen to her. She's going to share her journey from Silicon Valley to Houston, Texas, and why Mighty Oaks Capital Partners, and she's the actual general partner, and why they are expanding to Houston, Texas, to tap into this ecosystem of investors, founders, partners, and why social impact investing matters. I want to thank everybody for everything, your kindness, your words, for following me, for your comments, for your constructive criticism, and also for being a part of this community. Because this is what this is. This is community. And we're going to address, we're going to fight climate change. We're going to address wealth inequality. We're going to foster employment. And we're going to ensure that everybody participates to the degree possible within this clean energy economy. Thank you.